A young woman, unsatisfied with her sick husband, began an affair with his best friend until her mother-in-law caught them in the act. Stay tuned for the full video. The story begins with a man traveling with his young daughter, Thérèse, to the home of his sister, Madame Raquin. He has just lost his wife and, heartbroken and overwhelmed, tells Madame that he can no longer care for Thérèse on his own. He entrusts the girl to her care, hands her some money and promises to return soon to take Thérèse back. But days turn into months, and months into years, and he never returns. Madame Raquin is a stern but practical woman. She lives with her sickly son, Camille, who has been frail since childhood. With only one spare room in her modest home, she has no choice but to make Thérèse and Camille share a room. From that day on, Thérèse's world becomes one of routine and quiet longing. She often stares out the window, lost in thought, waiting for the father who never comes back. Years pass. Thérèse grows into a quiet, observant young woman, emotionally restrained, but with a deep reservoir of unexpressed feelings. Living in a house ruled by routine and the constant care of Camille, Thérèse begins to feel caged, like a prisoner of someone else's life. One day after returning home from a walk, she runs into Camille outside. In a strange and awkward moment, she tells him to kiss her. Camille, puzzled, kisses her on the cheek. "Not that way," she says softly. What she really wants is a kiss on the lips, a taste of something deeper, of passion. But Camille doesn't understand. Just then, Madame Raquin interrupts them with somber news. Thérèse's father has passed away. The final link to her past is now gone. Soon after, Camille gets a job offer in Paris. Madame is overjoyed. Perhaps now her son will finally step into adulthood. Before leaving their provincial town, Madame decides that Thérèse and Camille should marry. She considers it a practical arrangement. They've grown up together, and it will allow them to remain a family. Thérèse, however, has no say. With no one else in the world and no power over her life, she is forced into the marriage. The trio moves to Paris, where Camille begins his new job in an office. The city is alive with color and sound, but Thérèse feels none of it. Her days are gray. Camille works all day and returns home in the evening, tired and uninterested in Thérèse's emotional needs. Their marriage is cold, devoid of affection or desire. Thérèse feels suffocated. Camille, still physically weak and emotionally detached, shows no interest in intimacy. Then one evening, everything changes. Camille brings home a friend from his office, Laurent. From the moment Thérèse lays eyes on him, something stirs inside her. Laurent is the opposite of Camille, strong, confident, full of life. He's an artist, painting on the side while working a day job. Madame Raquin is delighted to see him again. Laurent notices Thérèse too. There's something in the way she watches him, quietly but intensely. When Camille asks Laurent to paint his portrait, Laurent agrees. And during the sittings, Thérèse often sits nearby. She can't take her eyes off Laurent, and Laurent, amused and intrigued, notices. One day after a session, Camille steps out, leaving the two alone. The air becomes heavy with unspoken desires. Laurent looks at Thérèse and boldly says, "Take off your clothes." There's no hesitation. Thérèse has been waiting for this. She responds, "We don't have much time," and the two fall into a passionate embrace. That moment marks the beginning of their secret affair. From then on, the affair becomes reckless, urgent, consuming. Every opportunity they get, Thérèse and Laurent find a way to be alone together. Thérèse sneaks away from Madame's store to meet Laurent in her room. Their physical chemistry is undeniable, but their emotional entanglement is even more dangerous. "Why didn't you find me before?" Thérèse whispers one night. She's terrified of losing him. But as the affair deepens, the consequences grow heavier. Camille begins to notice that Thérèse seems distant. He tries to rekindle some affection by attempting intimacy with her one night, but the connection is empty. Thérèse feels nothing. The next day, when Madame enters unexpectedly while Thérèse and Laurent are together, Laurent hides under Thérèse's clothing. Thérèse pretends to be sick to avoid suspicion. It's a close call. Camille, now sensing that something is wrong, announces that they'll be returning to their village. He believes the city has corrupted Thérèse and wants to return to a simpler life. The news devastates her. If they leave, she will lose Laurent. That night, she meets Laurent and tells him she can't live without him. Laurent, fueled by desperation and desire, says something that shocks her. "There's only one way to get him out of our way. We have to kill him." Thérèse is horrified. She struggles with the thought. That night she lies awake, tormented by the weight of the decision. Could she really kill her husband for love? Soon the opportunity arrives. Camille, Thérèse, and Laurent go for an outing in the park. Camille dozes off in Thérèse's lap, completely unaware of what's brewing around him. When he wakes, they decide to rent a small boat and row across the river. Out on the water, the moment comes. Laurent seizes Camille and shoves him overboard. Camille thrashes, cries out. Then sobbing, they row back to shore, pretending it was a tragic accident. People rush to help. Camille's body is eventually found, and his funeral is held. Madame Raquin is devastated. Her world is shattered. Only a mother who has lost her child understands this pain, the narrator reflects. In the days that follow, Thérèse and Laurent should feel relief, but instead, they are haunted. Thérèse begins to have nightmares. She sees Camille's face, hears his cries. Guilt gnaws at her constantly. Thérèse suggests they run away, leave everything behind. But Laurent refuses. "This is your life," he says. "Your home, your inheritance. It's all here." Thérèse reveals that the house and property still belong to Madame. So Laurent urges her to pretend she's grieving to gain sympathy. Thérèse stages loud cries and laments, which are overheard by Madame's friends. Moved by Thérèse's apparent grief, they suggest she remarry, and Laurent would be the ideal choice. Madame, still mourning, reluctantly agrees. When she proposes the idea to Thérèse and Laurent, they accept. The wedding is held quietly. On the wedding night, Laurent whispers, "This is the night we waited for. We have everything we wanted." But the truth is far from that. Thérèse lies beside him, unable to feel joy. Her soul is heavy with guilt. She has betrayed Camille and taken part in his murder. Madame, the woman who loved her like a daughter, is grieving endlessly. Nothing about this feels right. One night she turns to Laurent and asks, "Did Camille suffer?" Laurent responds coldly, "You were there." Thérèse confesses, "I closed my eyes." Laurent admits, "I put him under gently," but Thérèse believes he died in pain. Their conversation quickly turns into a fight. "You shouldn't have killed him," she shouts. Their love is now poisoned by guilt. Passion has turned into bitterness. Their relationship begins to deteriorate. They argue constantly. Thérèse can't stand to look at Laurent. He can't bear the silence that fills their home. Madame Raquin, still broken from Camille's death, becomes a silent presence in their lives, until tragedy strikes again. One day, while the three are at the park, Madame suffers a stroke. She becomes paralyzed and mute, unable to move or speak. Now Laurent and Thérèse must care for her. Laurent, seeing her as an obstacle to their inheritance, begins to talk about killing her. But Thérèse, despite her guilt, can't bring herself to harm the woman who raised her. She bathes her, feeds her, and stays by her side. One day, as Thérèse tends to Madame, an argument erupts between her and Laurent. They scream at each other, each blaming the other for Camille's murder. They don't realize that Madame, though paralyzed, is listening and understanding every word. Horror washes over her as she realizes the truth. Her son was murdered by the two people she trusted the most. Madame tries to tell others, but she cannot speak. In a desperate attempt to reveal the truth, she dips her finger in ink and writes shakily on the floor. Thérèse and Laurent killed Camille. One of Madame's friends sees the message and rushes to alert the others. Realizing their secret is out, Thérèse and Laurent panic. They know that if Madame lives, they're doomed. They make a chilling plan. They will take Madame out to the river for a picnic and make it look like she died naturally. Laurent brings poison. Thérèse hides a knife. But when the moment comes, something shifts. They look at each other, broken and hollow, and understand they are already dead inside. They have nothing left to live for. In a final act of despair, they decide to end it all. They drink the poison together and collapse by the riverside. Moments later, Madame's friends arrive and find her still alive. She is rescued, but Thérèse and Laurent are gone. Their lives, once driven by passion, have ended in ruin and regret. The story is a haunting reflection of guilt, desire, and consequences. After taking a life to satisfy their own passions, Thérèse and Laurent found no peace, only torment. Their love, once so fierce, became the very thing that destroyed them. This is the price of betrayal. This is karma.